Well, the White House is condemning the detention of Al Jazeera journalists in Egypt and is calling for their release. It's now been 38 days since Egyptian authorities detained three of our colleagues. Mohammed Fahmy, Bahir Mohammed and Peter Greste have been held without charge since December the 29th. They're accused of spreading false news and having links to the Muslim Brotherhood, which Egypt considers to be a terrorist organization. Paddy Carlhain has more from Washington, D.C.
Up until now, the response from the United States has been fairly muted. None of our colleagues are American citizens. We did hear a call for their release from Jen Psaki, the State Department spokeswoman, earlier, but now to have it come from the White House, from the podium, brings it to a whole new level. Here's my exchange with Jay Carney.
Let me go at Patty.
Has anyone in the administration talked to Egyptian officials about their crackdown on the media, specifically the arrest of Al Jazeera's journalists?
The matter that you raise is of deep concern to the administration. The restrictions on freedom of expression in Egypt are a concern, and that includes the targeting of Egyptian and foreign journalists and academics simply for expressing their views. These figures, regardless of affiliation, should be protected and permitted to do their jobs freely in Egypt. Egypt's transition can only move forward if all Egyptians are free to express themselves peacefully, without fear of intimidation or violence. Egypt's newly approved constitution upholds basic rights and freedoms, and Egypt's interim government has a responsibility to ensure that they are protected. Now, we have expressed these concerns directly to the government of Egypt in answer to your question, and we have strongly urged the government to drop these charges and release those journalists and academics who have been detained.
It remains to be seen if the call from Jay Carney will impact the officials in Egypt. It's widely believed here in Washington that the U.S. has lost a lot of its influence with the government of Egypt.
Egypt's interim government has now summoned Qatar's charge d'affaires in Cairo. It's demanding that Qatar extradite wanted persons who, it says, are in Doha.
The
Qatari representative was summoned again to the Foreign Ministry headquarters to convey a message of protest and to reaffirm the need to carry out Egypt's request and to stress the importance of responding to the Prosecutor General, Arab Interpol, and the International Interpol's request to deliver the wanted persons and to intervene to stop these infringements on Egypt.
Well, journalists from around East Africa have held a rally outside the Egyptian embassy in Nairobi in support of our detained colleagues. Mohammed Adaw was there.
These protests are calling for the release of Al Jazeera journalists detained in the Egyptian capital, Cairo. It's been organized by the Foreign Correspondents Association of East Africa, which Peter is a member of, and most of these people have either worked with Peter personally or are personal friends with him. The protesters have also brought with them a bundle of books and a letter showing their solidarity with Peter Greste and his colleagues in prison in Cairo, which they want the embassy of Egypt in Nairobi to deliver to him. However, embassy officials have so far declined to deliver this package to Peter and his colleagues. They say the protesters should look for other ways of taking the books and letter to Peter and his colleagues. So while peaceful protests go on outside the Egyptian embassy in Nairobi, there is also a campaign that is continuing on social media, mainly on Facebook and Twitter, where journalists from across the globe are sending in their pictures with their mouth gagged with the Egyptian flag. Their message is, if you gag one of us, you've gagged all of us.